what's up, people? It's your boy, the Kryptonian, saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 353. And God dog, I got two things to say first. The first thing is, didn't see that much kind of coming, the whole connection between Tom and Gold Roger, but it makes sense because Luffy is kind of following the same path. And so if that's the case, because if I'm not mistaken, back on, I want to say Little Garden, it was one of the islands where, no, it's when they met Laboon. And right when they first started the trip on the Grand Line, they had all these different routes they could have took, right? And the route that they took was the same one that Gold Roger took. And so I'm saying that to say it makes sense that they would meet the apprentice of the guy who built the ship that Gold Roger had. And so this is going to be key, okay? Because Luffy and the crew are in dire need of another ship. And if Gold Roger's ship was able to make it from Water 7 to wherever he buried the One Piece, then more than likely that ship is durable. And these guys were apprentices, Iceberg and Cuddy Clam. They were apprentices, or Frankie as he's called, in the public, but they were apprentices of him, which means that it's very possible that they could build a ship that's even better than what Gold Roger had. Because this is the thing about Shonen, is the next generation usually surpasses the other. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, they surpass. So it would make sense that they build a better ship, or one that's just as good. Because one of the things that we see is, as Tom is talking to them, he's saying if you put doves on a ship, if you put seagulls on it, it's a Navy ship. If you put skull and crossbones on it, it's a pirate ship. We just build it, but we build the ships with pride, and it's up to the captains and the crew to make it into whatever it's going to be. So I said to say, maybe they build one that's just as good, but Luffy and the others are long overdue for a ship. So once they clean up all this stuff with CP9, I can see them getting a ship built in good faith, because they're overdue for it. I mean, they saved Iceberg for the most part. And I know they said Iceberg is dead, but, until we see the body, I've learned, until we see the body and it's completely dead and there's a funeral, he's not dead. That's how Oda operates. So that was cool. And the other thing is what's also cool about that is Luffy's money got spent up. Usopp lost it. Tom spent all the money. I could see Iceberg and Tom getting together and building a hell of a ship. And if that's the case, totally love it. And it's going to cement all this stuff for Luffy being king of the pirates, man. So that was cool. That was interesting. Now I want to talk about Tom's appearance, okay? Because I'm looking at him and I'm looking at how he's drawn. He looks like a really fat version of Whitebeard, okay? He's got like the little horns and stuff popping out. And this might just be Oda. I've said before, one of the things I've noticed about Oda is, some of his character designs, they look very similar. And I feel like Oda just writes really amazing stories, but sometimes with the character designs, it leaves a little be wanted, because there's a lot of similarities. And, every author and every writer, every artist, they have their own signatures, and it's just certain stuff you see over and over. And as a writer, you learn to disguise them. And I feel like maybe sometimes Oda is a better storyteller than an artist. It's good artwork, don't get me wrong. It's good artwork, but one of the things I think we can all say about One Piece is, if you had to put both on a pedestal, which one would you be more likely to go to? Would it be the artwork or the story? I'll tell you hands down, I take the One Piece story before the artwork. I feel like the story is hands down some of the best shit that I've read out of any shonen, okay? And that's saying something, because I haven't read a lot, but I've read some classic shit. So this is good. So I'm saying that it's more of a compliment than anything else. But I might be reaching. They might not be related, but I could see it. So the other thing that I saw in this chapter is you had Tom, as Cuddy Clam slash Frankie is going to sleep. And he's got the eye open, right? That's the thing with kids. You tell their ass to go to sleep and they're going to still stay the fuck up, you know. I remember when I was a kid, you know, well, I wouldn't say a kid, I was a teenager. And, you know, oh, this is embarrassing. I was a teenager. I was like 14 years old and, you know, my mom was still on me, right? She was like, yeah, just make sure your ass is in bed by 10:30, right? You got to get up for school. And the thing is like I kept like the covers over my head, and I was dating this girl Sarah at the time, and I used to stay on the phone with her, and I had the cover over my head, and we'd be talking like real low and everything, and the cell phone, but we were talking like super low. And there was even one time, man, like we were talking so fucking late that like we both fucking fell asleep on the phone. And I remember I woke up and she said good morning. I was like, what the fuck? So I said to say, kids are going to do whatever they're going to do. You can't really stop them. You got to be careful around them. And it's the same thing here. You know, you think, you know, Cuddy Clam is asleep and he sees Tom had been working on something. He said will probably save Water 7 and give it a new lease on life, and he rolls it up. And then the next day the government shows up in the floating courthouse and they say, you built the ship that Gold Roger had. He's recently been executed. Your ass is being executed now too. And the reason they have for it, the logic is according to their premises. If you don't know how logic works, I'm going to give you a breakdown of what a college logic course is. Premise 1 plus premise 2 equals conclusion. Both premises have to fit. And according to the world government's logic, right, they say that Tom is guilty. So that's the conclusion. And their first premise is Gold Roger had a ship that allowed him to, you know, be the greatest pirate ever. And it did a whole bunch of stuff. And he did a whole bunch of crimes. Tom built the ship. And this is the third premise. Tom built the ship. Therefore, Tom and Gold Roger go hand in hand because Tom enabled him. That leads to the conclusion that Gold Roger has been dead, and now Tom has to die as well. Like, that's their logic for it. A little shaky. It'd be better if I could write it out and then read it. That's what you get off the cuff. But this was interesting just to see that that's the reaction, how everyone in Water 7 is like, you can't take this man. You cannot take Tom. And now you got the government interference now. Very interesting. Now I got to see where Luffy falls into this picture, because this is where parallels kind of come into place at this point. But overall, this was really good for a chapter. I like how Kokoro is pointing out that since Gold Roger's been executed, that it's really like a huge age of the pirates. You know, pirates are having like the lumber, ships are having the lumber stolen by pirates. Pirates is doing all this amazing and terrible stuff. And you got like the shot where Rob Lucci has like the picture, and you see Iceberg and Rob Lucci and Tom together, and it's just like it's one big family. And I like how, and this is on a deeper side, right? I like how we have some. Okay, sorry about that. I like how we have some parallels between Tom and Usopp, because Usopp was just valiantly clinging onto the belief that he could save the merry-go. And now you got Clam, Cuddy Clam slash Frankie, where Frankie, after meeting with Usopp and having Usopp basically face reality, it's the same thing here. Frankie is holding on to the headquarters for Tom's whole, you know, whole thing, his whole base of operations, if you will. And there's so many memories, and it just shows why the characterization of Usopp and Frankie and their interaction, why it works so well. This was a really nice touch by Oda. I was very impressed by this. Overall, very good chapter. Love the parallels. That's actually going to be my chapter question for you guys, is what did you think about the parallels between Usopp and Frankie in this? Because Usopp was that guy nobody really took seriously. Frankie, nobody took Frankie seriously when he was a kid. And he's like, I'm going to build a ship strong enough to take out a Neptunian. And Iceberg's just like, dude, some of them is as big as islands. There's no way in hell you could do that. You know, constantly being discredited. Both of them are putting it all on the line for for, you know, what they have their emotional attachments to. What did you think about Oda deciding to make that parallel? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome day, guys.